Hey guys, I'm back, and I want to start this video off short and sweet with a quick little intro that just says, I'm sorry. Now, this isn't your standard, big YouTube apology video, because honestly, I don't know if I have anything to really apologize for outside of me just being wrong. Because if you can recall, a few months ago, I made a video called Commitment to Consistency, in which I claimed that I would put out a piece of content every single weekday for the rest of my life until I stopped breathing. And if you look at my channel history over the past few months, you can see that that statement is just not true. I genuinely thought I could keep up with that schedule, but I didn't lie, I was just wrong. And no matter which way you look at it, I'm a flawed human being, and those kinds of things happen. So from the bottom of my heart, I just want to say I'm sorry for taking that commitment and breaking it. You guys may not care that much, it may not be a big deal, it's probably not, but I take commitments very seriously, so I'm sorry. But that does lead me into today's video, which is on the topic of something that you guys should know pretty well based on how this channel goes. Ghosting. Now, what is ghosting? According to Merriam-Webster, the act or practice of abruptly cutting off all contact with someone, such as a former romantic partner, usually without any explanation, by no longer accepting or responding to phone calls, instant messages, etc. Now, I guess what I did with my channel isn't technically ghosting, because whenever someone will leave a comment or a DM, I would respond to it, but I digress. What are some signs that you're being ghosted by someone? You call, you get no response. You call again, you text again, you get no response. You try to meet up with them, you try to text them again, you try to call them again, you get no response. Why do people do this? Well, I think that there are three main reasons why someone would ghost you. Number one is legitimate fear of endangerment or harassment. Now, this one's a big one because I don't know your specific situation or what you've been doing in the conversations you've had with people in your life, but if someone has a legitimate fear of being harassed or physically threatened or whatever the case may be, they may have a good reason to ghost you, but you're probably not doing that, because I know the viewers who watch my channel, you guys are cool guys, so please tell me you're not doing that, because if you are, we're gonna have to talk, but I don't think you're doing that. Which leads me to the second two reasons why someone would ghost you, and that's apathy and cowardice. And these fall squarely on the person who is ghosting you. Now, apathy, someone just, maybe you're just not as important to them as they are to you. And in some cases, that can be a hard pill to swallow. But unfortunately, it's true in some relationships, some friendships, some, romantic relationships you have with a classmate, coworker, whoever. You're just not as important to them as they are to you, and they don't really care to respond to your messages. It's a sad reality sometimes, but it's one that we have to deal with, recognize, and move on. Now, the third one is cowardice. Cowardice. Some people are the non-confrontational type who would rather run away from their problems than confront you face to face and tell you what you did wrong or what their problem with you is. Because sometimes you didn't do anything wrong. But how are you supposed to know that if the person ghosts you and doesn't tell you, you did this wrong or I did this wrong? You don't know. And it's all up to your imagination to try to figure out what's going on in this person's head, because they won't talk to you. Some people are just afraid to own up to their own insecurities. They're afraid to own up to the belief that they may have hurt you, or the feeling of insecurity in their own self. And they can't bring themselves to tell you what happened and to address it directly. So their best solution to that is to run away, to ghost you, and to leave you without an explanation. And that's not fair. It's not fair at all. But it's the world we live in, where a lot of people consider that a viable option, especially in the dating game, or even in friendships or whatever. A lot of people just don't have the guts to stand up and tell you what happened and what's going on in their minds and what you did wrong, if anything. So that's why people ghost. So how do you prevent being ghosted? Well, unless you're blatantly harassing someone and threatening them, or just being generally annoying and flooding their inbox with spam messages and flooding it with calls and messages that they're clearly not reading, then chances are that it's not your fault. It probably stems from the other person's insecurity or inability to communicate what their problem is with you. And honestly, a lot of the time, you just can't stop someone from ghosting you. If they're the non-confrontational type who just doesn't feel comfortable addressing what's wrong with them and what their problem is with you, then you can't always drag that out of somebody. You can't drag that out of them. So you can't do anything about it. It'll happen. It happened. But what can you do in response? Well, my best advice, I guess my number one recommendation, I'll say, that's helped me in my life is to treat it like it's no big deal. Treat it like it's no big deal, like it doesn't bother you. Don't send any angry messages. Don't insult them. Don't ask them why they aren't picking up your calls. Don't do any of that. Just treat it like it's no big deal. Move on with your life. Because as they say, success is the best form of revenge there is. And if that person who ghosted you, if they have any interest at all in you, whether it's romantic, platonic, anything, if they have any interest at all, they'll try to keep up with your life. They'll try to find you on social media. They'll try to look up your profiles, your YouTube channels, or anything. And they'll try to find out more about you. Even if they don't directly message you, they're still trying to keep up with you in this scenario. And if they are, and they see that you're happy, you're not strung out on anything, you're not depressed, you're not sending weird, cryptic, sad tweets or whatever, if they see that you look happy and you look unfazed, then they'll get a little bit curious about you. They'll start to think, man, did I make a mistake? Should I have ghosted that person? Maybe they're better off without me. And when people feel like you are better off without them, they start feeling regretful. They start contemplating, maybe I should reach back out to you. Maybe I should reach out to you. Maybe I should finally respond to your text. It remains to be seen, because not everybody will always reach out back to you. But sometimes people do. And the only way you can get that to happen is not by pleading with them and begging them and insulting them and saying that they're so terrible for not responding to you. Don't do that. Have a bit of a chip on your shoulder and act as if it's no big deal. It's no big deal. All right? Now, You're strong. You may have been ghosted. You may get ghosted in the future. But you're strong and you're smart and you have what it takes to recognize that it's happening and to do what you need to do to brush it off your shoulders, move on with your life, and come out of it looking stronger, feeling stronger. And if they reach out to you in the future, fine. That's great. Do what you need to do after that. But if they don't, that's also fine. It doesn't matter because you're living your life on your own without them. Because it's better to be happy by yourself than to spend time seeking the approval of someone who clearly doesn't even want you in the first place. Tough pill to swallow, but maybe somebody needed to hear that. Now, you're strong, you're tough, you're smart. Go out there and live your best life. Put the phone down. Don't wait on their message anymore. All right? You got this. You got this. You've got this. Believe that and believe in yourself.